Hey everybody, your book bud Joe here, and today I want to talk about The Life of Chuck by Stephen King. Okay, I've had an experience this weekend, guys. I watched The Life of Chuck twice. I knew it was by Stephen King. I later learned that it's in If It Bleeds, which I've always seen the cover. I never read that book. I'm assuming it's the short stories that he always does. So I go to watch this movie, and I'm intrigued. It's typical Stephen King of like the non-scary stuff. The more I experience this man's works, woo, the more I am a fan. He is something else. And this, why am I crying? This story just touched me. Okay, am I including this part or am I not? We'll find out. He is just such an amazing storyteller. I think this is like my favorite book story that Stephen King has ever written. I was thinking about this. He's a famous author, right? I'm sure that there are people out there that have never ever read a Stephen King book, but have consumed his stories. Between the movies, the television shows that he has based off his novels, he has reached so many people. He must be so rich. I was thinking about this. He is a powerhouse. Oh my God, this man's brain is something else. When you can just create stories that emulate life and that just sum up the human experience in this way, this movie touched me so much. I have to read this short story. I have to get it as soon as possible because I need to see how he did this. Okay, so let's talk about the movie. This is going to be spoilers, guys. I'm sorry. So if you don't want to have this ruined, then maybe you shouldn't watch this, but there's no way that I can talk about this without talking about it. Okay, so he does true Stephen King fashion. This is told in reverse. I love when he does this. So we start with Act 3, Death. And now this is very like dystopian, apocalyptic. It's weird. It's like you don't really know what's happening, and this is on brand for him. So I was watching this. I was like, oh, hey, this is cool. This is like freaky. It's like like technology is failing, and catastrophes are happening all over the world. It seems like the world is ending somehow, and you have these weird moments where there's like conflicting technology present in the same day. So he's talking on the phone. I think the guy is Marty. Marty's talking on the phone to his ex-wife. He's on her cell phone that we would use today, and she's on this huge cordless phone that we used to use back in like the 90s. Okay? And I was just like, what's going on? Then there are some older cars, and in the car is like the stereo that we used to have to push the button in order to like tune in to the station that you want. I was like, oh my God, it has the push buttons. Love that. And so it has these conflicting technology pieces, but so it's just all very confusing. I'm like, so what time are we in? Like what year is this? Because you have all these conflicting things, but I don't know. Right? So as I'm watching, I'm like, what is going on? So there's like a sinkhole. The whole, part of the town falls into the sinkhole. They can't use their cars anymore. Everything's blocked up. So everybody's walking on the road, and like people are just being like weird, and it's like surreal, and it's like, what's happening? And there's billboards all over the place for about this guy named Chuck. And it's like 39 great years. I'm summarizing, guys. I don't know what it really said. 39 years. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for like 39 years. And it was almost like he was like retiring from like his job or something, but these billboards were all over the place. 39 great years. Thanks, Chuck. And it's all over. And they're like, who's Chuck? We don't know this guy. And then he's walking down the road and he comes across this kid on roller skates, and he's like, you shouldn't be out here, things are bad things are happening, you need to go home to your parents. And then all of a sudden, like a movie projector, like in the windows of every single house on the street, it's like Chuck, it's like the billboard, and then it's like him sitting there going like this, and it's like taking over, and they're scared by it. They're like, what's happening? Weird stuff. And I'm just like, okay, like what's happening? This is like really intriguing. Like I want to know more. Then he gets to his ex-wife's house and they go out into the backyard. Then they cut to a scene of Chuck lying in a hospital bed, and he's there with his wife is there, his kid is there, and it seems like he's dying, and they're like talking to him, and they're like, talking to each other, like, he's only 39 years old, like, this is terrible. And like they're kind of like talking over him as he's dying, and he's like not responsive, he's dying. So, but you get the sense that he's like he's hearing what they're saying, kind of, and he's like having these internal thoughts as he's dying. So then that's a very quick scene. I guess it's giving you a clue, obviously, because I watched it again. I feel like I understand it more. Then they go back to Marty and his wife sitting in the backyard looking up at the celestial stars, beautiful, beautiful, bright stars. And the North Star, it's there, and it just like implodes. Okay, and then Mars was there, and it implodes. And then all the stars just like start disintegrating. And they're like scared, obviously, because like, okay, the universe is ending. We are going to end very soon, right? So it's like, wow, this is cool. This is a very cool story. And then it ends. Done. Scene 3 is done. So at first I thought that was just like a dystopian kind of like apocalyptic story written by Stephen King in his way. That's not what it is at all. I love this movie. This is like one of my favorite movies, and I just happened upon it. And I saw when it came out, I saw the poster of Chuck there and his like little dance move. I don't know. I just never looked into it. I don't know. And now this is like one of my favorite stories. It's crazy how these things happen. Okay, moving on. Act 2, Life. Guys. And I don't even know why. Well, I do know why. I'm like tearing up already. Okay. So I don't know. Most of you probably don't know. But I've talked about it on the channel. I've had videos. I'm a dancer. I own a dance studio. I've been dancing since I was young. I've been in dance studios since I was younger, like a baby. My mother used to work in a dance studio. I've always grown up around dance, okay? And then one day I had the courage, because I always wanted to do it, but I had the courage to actually try. And what kept me back was, society. Society sucks. I was young at the time. I was in 7th grade when I finally got I was just like, you know what? Forget this. I want to do this. I don't care what they say. So I did it, right? I wound up, I'm wound up being very good at it. I'm a tap dancer, and it's my passion. It is my passion in life, is tap dancing. Okay. And dance and music in general is just, it makes up who I am as a person. I can't even talk about it. There's just so many layers. Okay. So there's so many layers to this second act that just touched me. And this is like a very different act. It's bright and it's cheery and it's fun and it's exciting and it's lighthearted. But this one got me the most, because I'm the type of person who like goes and sits in a Broadway show and just like, I cry. Because I'm moved by the art. I'm upset. I'm not up there. I go through a lot of emotions. And mostly I'm just like, oh God, I just love this part of humanity. I love music. I love song. I love dance. I love musicians. I love singers. Oh, I wish I could sing. So that is my life. That is what I am made of to my core. Act 2 comes around, and now we see Chuck. He's in a suit. He's a businessman. He has a briefcase. He's walking through the nice, not very nice little town there. And we have, I loved her, the drummer. She set up her drum set on the side of the little road there, and she's drumming for money, right? She's drumming. She had such a small part, but oh my God, she was amazing. So she's drumming for money, right? Drumming. Nobody's giving her money. Nobody's stopping. Great drummer, great beat. I was dancing in my seat. So here she sees this business guy, Chuck. He's walking towards her, and she's intrigued by him. So she changes the beat for him. She's like announcing his arrival, right? And she's doing it. And he stops. He puts his briefcase down and he starts dancing. It's so cool because he doesn't look like a dancer. He's like, meaning like he's in a suit. He's like a businessman. He's like, probably going to sit in his like 9-to-5 job and, with his briefcase. So he doesn't look like a dancer, right? So he starts dancing and she's just like, what? This dude is dancing to he's actually paying attention to me and he's dancing and he's so into it and he loves this. She is shocked, and her facial expressions as she's playing the drums, they are everything. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I have to go watch that scene. So he's just dancing and she's like, what? And then like they're playing with each other. Like she'll change it and she'll see what he's doing, and then she changes it to a different rhythm, like a swing beat or like a reggae beat or like whatever. And he's just like dancing. And he's so into it. And like, I'm like, wow, like this is so cool. Like this dude is just, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. How many of us would actually do that? I dance on stages and I wouldn't do that. And that's what got me too. I'm like, God, like I wish I could just do that. He was the only one. He didn't give a crap and he's just dancing. And and I was getting emotional watching it. I was getting emotional watching it because I was like, wow, like, look, he's being moved by that rhythm. Like, look at what music does. It just moves you. You feel it in your soul, and he is just going off. I absolutely loved it. I am obsessed with this movie. Oh, good God, why am I crying? I can't even believe this. So then he sees, Chuck is doing his thing, and he sees, a crowd has collected and everybody's watching him. And he sees one woman. She's like dancing. She just loves watching him and she's just getting into it and she's dancing, right? So he goes up to her and he does this little suave little move and he goes like this. He says, dance with me, little sister. And they start dancing, okay? Oh, I have to watch it again. So they start dancing and then like the scene ends and like the drummer is just like, wow, what was that, guys? We could take this, we could make some money doing this. Come with me. Like we'll go to a different neighborhood and we'll do this. And they're like, no, we can't. So there was that type of interaction between them. And it was a sweet moment. Like they all hugged like before they left. And the drummer was just so excited to have them. Like, she felt like, wow, someone's actually listening to me. And then they had like a partnership and then they had like an act. They had an act. It was so cool. So then they go their separate ways. And throughout it, we're getting some clues because he keeps going like this. He has a headache. He takes off his glasses. He's like, oh, I don't feel good. We're getting clues that he's not well. And actually the narrator, I think at this time has already said that he has a brain tumor. And he's not going to have more than 9 months to live. And he's 30. He'll die when he's 39 years old. That's another thing about this movie. I love the narrator. It was just so cool. The narrator had a great voice and gave us so much information. I think that was necessary probably because I think reading this might be very confusing. So I think we really needed that narrator. I can't wait to read this book, this short story. So Act 2 for me is probably my favorite for that scene and what it means. We're going to learn what it means even more when we go into Act 1, which is his childhood and how it started. And that just makes Act 2 just so much more meaningful. So let's move on to Act Act 1, childhood. So now we're going back to when he was a child. Chuck lost his parents. They died, so he moved in with his grandparents, Bubby and Zadie. I loved Bubby and Zadie. Oh my God. Both such amazing characters. So he's a little kid. I don't know. He looks like he's maybe 9 or 10 or 11, something like that. He's, they're sad. He lost his parents. They lost their child. And so for a long time, it's just very dark and dreary and sad in the house. Okay, and then the years go by, and then it's kind of exploring his relationship with each one of his grandparents and how different they are. The grandfather, after the death, started drinking a lot, and he's just like drowning in his sorrow, drowning in his grief, and he says a lot of zany things that like people don't understand, and don't pay any attention to him. He's just a crazy drunk old man, right? And then we have the grandmother, loved her. She's in the kitchen making her pot of, it looked like tomato sauce, and she loved music. And so it had the radio on, and she's drumming to the beat on the pot, and she starts going like this, and he's watching her. And the kitchen is for dancing, guys, in case you didn't know. I don't know if everybody does this, but like dancers, like we dance in the kitchen. I remember when I was a kid, I was practicing in the kitchen constantly. Me and my mother dance in the kitchen. I think that's why this also touched me, because my mother, and like he's relating to his grandmother. And I just remember being in the kitchen watching my mom. My mom loves to dance. She's the one who instilled her love of dance within me. So she was constantly dancing. And as a kid, I would just watch her. I would just be like, just like intrigued and in awe that she is just like going all around the kitchen, the living room, just dancing. So like that's what this kind of reminded me of, because he's watching her. And then she comes up to him. She goes, "Dance with me, little brother." Exactly what he said to the girl in the square with the drumming. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming full circle. And then she starts teaching him all the dances. So he's learning the Charleston, right? He's learning all the different moves, the cha-cha, the waltz, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and they're just dancing. And then she starts getting him all the old movies. I know why I love this, because this is me. Gene Kelly, all the old Gene Kelly movies. I love Gene Kelly. He's my favorite. And Fred Astaire, and just all the old movies, the old classic musicals. And he's watching them with his grandmother, right? And then in school, he joins the little dance club, and like his love of dance is just even more being supported and praised, and he's learning all these different dances that he never learned before, like the samba, and he's meeting people and friends, and he's paired with this girl who's like a lot taller than him, but he like loves her because she's gorgeous, and they start dancing together, and then they go to the dance, and they dance at the dance, and he's like embarrassed at first, but then he dances. I love this. So dance is just such a huge part of this story. And I love that. I love that. I loved it so much. Oh my God. Okay, so then there's that with his grandmother. That explains the dancing. Okay. Now we're going back to what I would say is like typical Stephen King, right? So in the grandparents' house, on the upper floor is the cupola, and the cupola has a big old-fashioned lock that it's locked up. You can't get in, and he starts asking questions like, "What's up there? I bet you can see the whole town. Like, can we go up there?" And his grandfather's drunk, and he's just like, "No, you can't go up there. You can't. You don't know what you'll see if you go up there." And he's just talking all this nonsense. Neighbors, kids who have been killed, and all these weird things, and the kid is just like intrigued and looking at him and like what's going on? I want to go up there. Then he actually takes his keys one day and he goes up there. And before he can even step foot in the room, his grandfather comes screaming, "No!" and takes him, and he throws him down the stairs. It was that severe. And then the grandfather's looking in the room before he like closes the door, and he's like shocked at what he sees. And we're looking at him, looking at something. We're like, well, what's in this room? Like there's this whole mystery about the cupola. And then his grandmother's just like, oh, he was talking about his ghosts again, right? Yeah, don't pay him any mind. He drinks a lot. Then the grandmother dies, and now it's just him and the grandfather. And the grandfather starts talking about his love of like numbers and math, and he's an accountant and he keeps the books. Chuck is like, no, I just want to dance. And then the grandfather just starts talking about how math is in dance too, and it's like you count, right? And how like math is a part of all of us and it makes up the universe. And like he's talking to him, trying to get him to love what he loves. And then I think that's why Chuck grows up. I guess he kind of took that with him for his grandfather, and he goes he goes into that line of work. And then I love that, we see him going to the office, and he's just like, he hears the music and he just wants to dance, and he probably hasn't danced in a while. I'm assuming, I'm trying to like, learn what all this means. And so he was just like, I don't know why I stopped to dance, but he just, it was in him, and he just wanted to dance, and it's a part of him, and that's what he truly loves. So that he took the moment, he seized the moment, he just started dancing in that square to that drummer. Oh, that was so good. It was just so touching. Okay, another part of this is when he was in the same time that he was like joining the dancing club, he was in class and they're going over Walt Whitman, his poem, A Song of Myself, I think. And there's a line in there that says, I contain multitudes. And this is like a very big part of this movie. And it pretty much, I think, explains the entire movie. So he asks his teacher, what does that mean when he says, I am so large, I contain multitudes? And the way that the teacher like answers his question is, she was like, she puts her hands on his head and she's like, what's in between my hands? And he's like, my brain. She's like, no, but like what's in between there? Like, you're a person, and you have all these connections, and you have a whole world, and everything that you love, and everybody that you come across, and everybody that you meet, and everybody that you talk to is in your world, right? And there's going to be worlds and worlds as you get older and you meet more people and you do more things. Worlds upon worlds are going to be built into that. And then she went on and on, and she's like, and you contain multitudes. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then there was this whole thing about the universe, and how when he was younger, talking to his grandfather one day on the TV was this like educational show. And it was like, if you put the life of the universe onto our yearly calendar, January 1st, the Big Bang happened. And then each, like, I don't know what they said, each day represents like 20 million years or something like that. I'm summarizing. And as you go along, like, man didn't make his appearance until like, what'd they say? December 31st, was it? And then it's like, we're down to minutes and we're down to seconds, and like, okay, then man started to like domesticate plants and animals, and then all the contributions of man and music and everything, coming down to the last second, last 10 seconds. And then it's just amazing, like showing like how old the universe is. So that was on in the background on the TV as he was talking to his grandfather. So to sum all this up, Act 3, Death, turns out it was Chuck's mind as he was dying. And so all of his experiences, all of his conversations, all the people that he has met are just running through his brain. So he's in like, I think he's like in a vegetative state, or I don't know if he's in a coma, or he's just dying. So he's not talking, he's just like there. And his wife and his kid are in the room, and they're crying and they're talking. So he's hearing them talk, and 39 years. So that's where that came from. 39 years. Thanks, Chuck. And so Marty from Act 3, the guy who was talking to his ex-wife on the phone, he starts going into this whole thing about the universe, and he's talking about the universe if it was put on our calendar from January to December, and he goes through the whole thing. So turns out that like that's Chuck's mind replaying that from the television when he was talking to his grandfather. He like absorbed that information, and now he's like dying, and he's just like, his life is flashing before him. And that's why that explains the technology. He's on the cell phone, she's on the huge big phone, the old cars with the push, it explains all that. And the catastrophes that are happening all over the world, the sinkhole, going down, the town falling into it, it's like signifies and it's a symbol for him dying. He's dying, so he's like, thinking like the world is ending. His universe is ending. I contain multitudes, so all these lives, all these layers are ending because he's dying. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted in a good way. Like, oh my God, what? What? I have to read this story. And as you can see, like I've been emotional this entire time, and I'm sitting there watching the movie. I'm like crying when you're not even supposed to be crying. I don't think. Do people cry when they watch The Life of Chuck? It's like, why am I having this reaction to it? I want to watch it again. I watched it twice, full through. I want to watch it again. Well, this is the first, guys. Am I really going to post this? letting you in to the real Joe. Not that what you've seen isn't real. It's just I've never cried on Book Buzz. Well, here we are. I just loved this story so much. And so now that I've really watched the movie, I really have explored what it's about. I've really kind of understood what he's trying to say. I want to read this short story, and I cannot wait to read this. Has anybody read it and then watched the movie? I want to hear from you. What is this short story like? Is it confusing? Like, do you get it at the end? Like, I feel like sometimes he's a little hard to understand, Stephen King's writings. I don't know. I'm just so intrigued. I have to get this, If It Bleeds, and read this short story. And like I said, the more that I experience Stephen King's books, the more I'm just like, wow, this man is a genius. This was so meaningful and so heartfelt. I absolutely adore The Life of Chuck. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't know how this happened. Wow. So we're going to have a follow-up video. When I read this short story, I'm definitely gonna review it. I'm going to talk about it, how it compares to the movie, and I'm just so excited. So thank you guys for watching this and putting up with all of my emotions. I'm sorry, it wasn't planned. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I like it. I like it. I'll get over it. When I hit post, I'm probably going to have a little anxiety. But you know what? I love you guys. You guys support me so much. You guys support the channel. So I trust this. I trust this. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. If you're enjoying what you see here, please like, share, and subscribe. And last but not least, thanks for visiting Book Buds!
I love my Book Bud, Joe.
I'm crying on Book Buds! Woohoo! Just what I wanted. Okay. Wow. Is that really going to happen?